This is Nathan Cruz with Carlson Software, and in this video I'm going to show you what's new with our Precision 3D 2018 Polyline related commands. So that would be Polyline polylines from tin surface extraction, and then our new snaps and our new combine, split, and merge commands that we have for polylines. So the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm essentially just showing you some polylines that I imported via DXF into my scene and drape them onto my surface. What I want to do is actually pick up some additional polylines, being the center of the road, and then maybe catch the back of the curb or the center of this curb channel. So I'm going to show you how we can extract those using our tin extraction command. So what we're going to do here is basically pick on a triangle edge, and you're going to get a preview of that polyline generation. And you can see here that I have these tolerances in my command window, and I can also change the color of my polyline. You notice it doesn't go all the way around this particular curve because it exceeded a 2% change in direction at that point. So if I change that to something like 4% and reselect that point, you notice it still doesn't go around there, but now all of a sudden it's kind of going off up here. So if I change it back to 2%, you notice now it's snapping back straight away. But this is actually a pretty easy thing to fix down here when we run into this kind of situation. So I'm just going to hit the Create Polyline button, and I'm going to select another one over here, and I'm going to hit the Create Polyline button, and I'm just going to press the enter key. So now I'm going to select this guy, and we see that we have a radius of minus 37.75, so that's actually right on the design for this particular guy. And again, we have another 37.75, but this is a single curve return. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to select him, and I'm going to remove this vertex. And now what I'm going to do is basically just stretch this circular arc back over here. And to do this, so I'm going to select my tin, and I'm going to turn on the triangles really quick because I'm going to want to use one of our tin snaps here. So I'm going to turn on my vertex endpoint snap. I'm going to select my circular arc, and I'm just going to drag it over to the endpoint here. So it's right on that end. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is turn that one off and turn on the vertex, or the face edge snap, and I'm just going to pull this down, and you see it snap right into that edge. And notice that we still have our minus 37.75. So again, that's a way that we can pretty easily extract actual coordinate geometry, because this is these aren't just tessellated lines; they're all straight line segments where appropriate. So we could also do another one, and we could pull out the center lines pretty quickly. And this vertical tolerance, you notice that where we have this breakover. So if I bump that up a little bit, and then re-pick on this line. Let's do more like a 4, and press enter, and you see that now it continues all the way down. So I'll just hit Create Polyline there. I'll select over here. It's following the curve and everything just fine. Hit create polyline, press enter. And now I can come in here and do some cleanup. So what I'm going to do is just draw a polyline, and I'm going to go from the endpoint of here, and I'm going to do a perpendicular snap. So this is one of our new snaps, and I'll just drop perpendicular to this center line here. Oops. And it would help if I actually had my draw polyline command going. So let me snap back to the end here. Turn on my perpendicular snap. And there we go. And just to demonstrate the other snaps and also one of our new commands is we do have circles now. So I can go from the intersection of that and basically draw it out, and then I can type in an exact radius if I want it to be exactly 8. I can do that. So this is useful for helper geometry and laying things out. Now I'm going to show you our apparent intersection snap. Also useful for laying things out based on boundary lines and the intersection points of some construction geometry out here. So what I'm going to do is just insert a fire hydrant. And what I want to do is I want to use the apparent intersection. So just like most CAD programs, first as I get close to a polyline, I'm going to click on that polyline, and I'm simply going to drag it out to the intersecting polyline that I want. And so now I have a hydrant that is at the apparent intersection of this red parcel boundary line and this curb line. Terrible example, because nobody would in their right mind would ever put a fire hydrant inside of a curb gutter line like that. Now we also have some additional commands, and so I'm going to just show some of the split and combine polyline commands that we do have. So what I'm going to do is just draw a polyline, and I'm going to turn on my near to snaps. Turn those guys off. Now I'm going to pick my parcel boundary, and this scenario I want to split. So basically I'm going to select the polyline, start the split combine polyline object command, select the split polyline, and just click on split. And so now we've just split these two guys. Let's see now. And you notice that we created a new one so we have the original polyline and then the split polyline guy. And conversely, I can say I want to pick this polyline and I want to combine. There you go. So split, combine, and you can bring those guys right back. It's particularly useful for our hydrology watershed editing, where we can go in and split and combine watersheds and do a lot of manipulation. And just to show you one other kind of time saver, is I'm just going to draw a couple of polylines out here with common boundaries and even some complex boundaries. So I'm just going to draw this guy out here and close it, and I'm going to just draw another polyline out here. I'll turn on my vertex endpoint snap, so it's exactly coincident here. And I'll close that guy too. And now what I'm going to do is execute this new replace polyline section. But this works for all polylines that have common points. And so what I'm going to do is simply pick this point, and I'm going to just go straight down to here. So you notice it just edited both polylines at the same time. I can start the command again, and I can go here. So it's not just for, you know, single straight segments. I mean, I could do this as well, and replace the section with this new polygon. And just to show you that there really are two polylines there, I'll drag that off, and you can see there's two polylines. Okay, so that covers our new apparent intersection snap, new perpendicular snap, our tin geometry, actually horizontal geometry, extractor from tins, where you actually get real coordinate geometry, not just tessellated lines. And it's very easy to edit and manipulate these and generate this geometry if you happen to be working on a surface that doesn't have the geometry that you need for particular tasks. We also now support DXF imports of polylines, points, and surfaces. Again, if the polylines are true geometry, they come in as true geometry. If they're coming in from whatever package is tessellated, then they're tessellated. We can also now export our surfaces, polylines, and points also back to a DXF file. And essentially, what you get is what you see in this Scene Explorer here. Is you'll get layers. So our folder names are essentially the same as layers. So you'll get a layer called PRO, PEOP, pond, so forth and so on. And then if you happen to go in and want to rename one of these, you can rename it, and then you can also change the default color for those objects in there. So that's basically how you control your layer names and your colors for the polylines. So in the DXF, you would see pretty much what you see here. You'd see all these different colored polylines, and they'd all be on these different layers. And that covers our new polyline support, both creating, entitying, extracting from tin surface edges, and splitting and combining. I think in some worlds it's called shrink wrapping data, and that covers the what's new in polylines in Precision 3D 2018.